Members of council, can I please have you come to the council chambers? Members of council, can I please have you come to the council chambers? Three. Members of council, can I please have you come to the council chambers? This meeting is now resumed. Members, I would take the release of member holds. Please put your name under request to question staff. And I've also received an urgent motion to be added to the agenda. No, I know. I was going to say if we get 30 councillors, but we don't have 30. Councillor Ainsley.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On the top of page 3, CD 23.10, review and identification of resources for strong neighbourhood strategies. I have a motion, an amendment that I would like to move, and I also have one for Councillor Peruzza that had to leave. If I can move that on his behalf.
Why did he have to leave?
He had a family obligation.
Okay, so there's your motion, Councillor Ainsley, on the screen.
Yep.
Okay, on the amendment by Councillor Ainsley, on favor, carried, and okay, there's another one?
Sorry, and I have one for Councillor Peruzza.
Yes, exactly. Can you? Oh, there's two for Councillor Ainsley. Okay, this is the second one.
That's mine. Sorry, that's Councillor Peruzza's.
Oh, this is Councillor Peruzza.
I'm moving it on his behalf.
What is this? This is that was Councillor Peruzza. I don't think so.
Okay, so that was Councillor Peruzza's. What? Okay, so am I hearing that Councillor Peruzza's amendment is not a quick item? Okay. Mahevic.
Yes, thank you very much. I had tried to release it yesterday. Page 4, EX 29.12, Teal Prosperity, Toronto Poverty Reduction Strategy 2017 report and 2018 work plan. I understand that... I have questions I'd like to ask staff.
Okay, so it's not a quick item, so we might get it in the new year. Councillor Holliday?
Yes, thank you, Speaker. Let me just find the page. TE something. TE 28.44 on page 7. Bloor Street West Planning Study Guiding Principles. If I may request a recorded vote.
Okay, so on page 7T 2844 Bloor Street West Planning Study, Councillor Holliday is asking for a recorded vote.
Councillor Layton, when you're seated, please, and Councillor Pasternak, please.
Councillor Mihevc, thank you. Councillor Fillion, please.
The item is adopted 27-3.
Councillor Campbell?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On page 6, EY 26.26, traffic control signals Islington Avenue, Norden Avenue, Athol Avenue, Ward 5. On behalf of Councillor DiCiano, who's not here, and on behalf of Councillor Grimes, who would normally take carriage of this, I decided to look after this. I've been asked to look after it by Councillor Crisanti, who is absent this afternoon.
It's unanimous.
So this should...
So Councillor
should be a
Campbell,
quick
are you
item.
moving it?
I'm moving it. It's a quick item.
Recorded vote on page 6, EY 2626, traffic control signals. Recorded vote. What about the other one on behalf of Councillor Grimes, Councillor Campbell?
Councillor Burnside and Councillor Cole, please.
The item is adopted 28-5.
Councillor Fillion.
Yes, on behalf of Councillor Grimes, EY 26.4, Councillor Grimes held it and he asked me to deal with it for him. And he's in agreement with the recommendations.
Okay.
Sorry, page 6, EY 26.
0.6. So on page 6, CY 26.4, final report, Long Branch Neighborhood Character Guidelines. Oh, I'm sorry. What was the motion?
That the City Council refer the item to the Acting Chief Planner and Executive Director, City Planning and City Solicitor for review and to report directly to the next meeting of Council on any recommended changes in context and approach, so that the Long Branch Neighborhood Character Guidelines meet the objective of strengthening the ability to reinforce the city's zoning bylaws and to defend these before appeal bodies. Currently, they do not do the latter part as well as they could.
Okay, so on page 6, CY 26.4, there's a referral motion on the screen. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Councillor Fillion. Councillor Holland.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is for GM 23.8. And I'm going to try to do a quick release unless anybody else wants to speak to it.
What page?
Oh, sorry. This should be on page 4 or 5.
Yes?
Yeah. And that's the motion there. So I think it should say, yeah. So instead of to receive, it would be delete government management committee recommendations and adopt the following. So the first item there is City Council direct the City Manager to work with and support the province's Women in Business Steering Committee, which is in order to increase the gender diversity on corporate boards to at least 50%. So there is the province's Women in Business Steering Committee under the Ministry of Finance, under Charles Sousa, and that's already currently in place. So that would be encouraging that work. And then the second item is City Council direct the Director of Purchasing Materials Management to include in all procurements a statement that indicates City Council support that all corporations should strive to have at least 50% gender diversity corporate boards.
Okay, it's not a quick item, Councillor Holland. Not a quick item. Councillor Cole? I'm saying just do it now. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On page 5, ED 25.6, potential policies and programs to support Toronto's retail areas and appointments. I would release that with an amendment that has been I've worked on with both economic development staff and transportation staff that looks at extending, working with the Toronto Parking Authority to look at having a discount code for the parking lots on Eglinton affected by construction along the LRT alignment.
Okay, so on page 5, ED 25.6, Councillor Cole has an amendment. On favor? Carried. Item is amended. On favor? Carried. Before we continue, I just want to welcome the grade 5 students from Balmy Beach Community School located in Ward 32. Their local counselors, Councillor Mary Margaret McMahon, and their group leader is Amy Kidman. Welcome.
That is a diverse group of kids. The diversity of the
Councillor McMahon?
Yes, so Balmy Beach super students were just in my office talking about many things, and they would like to see more women on council, more youth, and more diversity, and they would also like a subway on Queen. Thank you.
Lower speeds, lower speeds. They want the cars to
and
slow
free
down.
chocolate right now.
Councillor Karagianis?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On page 3, PW 24.3, utility locate services for business improvement areas as required by the Ontario Underground Infrastructure Notification Act.
Councillor Robinson said no.
Yeah, work it out.
What's her problem? Fine. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Work it out.
Councillor Ainslie?
Madam Speaker, the CD 23.10, the Strong Neighborhoods item, can I withdraw Councillor Prutz's motion that I'm moving on his behalf and just take care of the one that I put forward?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can withdraw it. Yeah. Yeah, with permission of council, can we withdraw? On favor? Carried. Okay, so let's put Councillor Ainslie's amendment on the screen on that item, which is page 3, CD 2310.
Well, it's all the strong.
Okay, it's on the screen. Councillor Ainslie's motion. On favor? Carried. Item is amended. On favor? Carried. Councillor de Beermaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have two quick items. First is just to let everyone know that Councillor Holland and her staff have left some Christmas goodies up here on the front row, so if anyone wants to partake in some Christmas cheer, please come on up. They're delicious. The second quick item, I hope, is on page 3. ST 14.5 was held by Councillor Perruzza, who's not here. So could I just move the staff recommendations? Because it's a quick item now, because he's not here.
Okay, on page 3, ST 14.5. On favor? Carried. Councillor Burnside.
Yes, Madam Speaker. Page 3, ST 14.5. I believe Councillor Perruzza isn't coming back. Can that be released? We just moved it?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome to the meeting.
Councillor Robinson. If you're not here, you lose. Councillor Robinson?
I'm here.
Yes, you're here.
Page 7, TE 28.61, road alteration, O'Connor Drive and Woodbine Avenue. I'd like to release that.
Councillor Robinson is holding. Councillor Karygiannis is holding.
It's Councillor Davis's.
Okay, we have two motions to introduce. One is by Deputy Mayor Min Wong. Okay, you have to stand up and introduce it.
Oh, yes. I'm introducing a motion with regard to Sidewalk Toronto. The motion is urgent as the agreement between Waterfront Toronto and Sidewalk is progressing very quickly.
On favor? Carried. Councillor Fillion, you're next.
Thank you. It's a very time-critical item related to the sale of land at 5800 Yonge Street.
It's on the screen. On favor? Carried. Councillor Palacio.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We have also on page 3, ST 14.11, Council Member Appointments, Toronto Region. It was held by Councillor Davis, but she's not here as well. Let's deal with it. And to move the staff's recommendations.
No. Yeah, no, Councillor Palacio. Okay. The difference is because Councillor Perruzza left. All right, so we'll try to get a couple things done before in an hour. Page 3, PW 24.3, Councillor Karygiannis held the item down, utility locate services for BIAs. Councillor, do you have questions to staff?
No, Madam Chair.
Does anybody have any questions to staff? Okay, Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My understanding is that this is very complicated. It is indeed downloading from the province, this entire thing. Is that not true?
Through you, Madam Speaker, this is in response to a 2013 act that put a requirement that any owner of a below-grade infrastructure become a member of the Ontario One Call.
Okay, so so now the city has to, the municipality has to deal with this.
That is correct.
And my understanding also is that we have now, in this report, committed to, who I'm a big fan of the BIAs, that we are now going to facilitate this work for the BIAs.
Through you, Madam Speaker, the commitment in the report is for the city to take on 50%, as we do now with other cost-sharing agreements with the BIAs.
So this reflects what we're doing as basically a pattern throughout your division and economic development. It's reflective of other work we're doing with the BIAs?
Yes, and in particularly with respect to the actual infrastructure that we're talking about. The capital is put in on a 50-50 basis right now, and so that's the issue as to what the costs are being driven by.
Okay, so the staff report was worked on, I believe, led by economic development in conjunction with transportation. Is that accurate?
Probably the other way around, transportation in conjunction with economic development.
Okay, and what you did is reflected a model that you have in place when working in partnership with the BIAs.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Also to transportation, I understand that the city's contractors for locates, you're going to permit the BIAs to use those contractors.
So in a case like that, we would actually take on the requirement, add it to our existing contract, and then the BIA would be responsible for 50% of that cost for their locates only.
So, but there would be some facilitation work and support and money invested in facilitating that on behalf of transportation, on behalf of the BIAs by transportation.
Through you, Madam Speaker, that is correct.
So really there's some great wins for Tabia and the BIAs in the staff report. Would you agree there's a number of wins for the local BIAs?
I would agree with that.
Can I ask both economic and development and transportation if this report is a good example of a compromise?
I think it's a great example of working with the BIAs and transportation and on one call and legal and everybody else to come up with a solution that fits the established pattern.
Thank you. And transportation, would you identify this as a good example of a compromise?
Yes, we absolutely concur with what economic development has just indicated.
Thank you to both departments and divisions for your hard work on this.
Thank you. Councillor Holyday.
Yep, just a couple of quick ones through you to staff. Could someone describe what it is that we're talking about being located? What is the infrastructure that these utilities feed?
So, through you, Madam Speaker. So to give an example, if a BIA were to install pedestrian lighting, the underground conduit for that lighting is classified as a below-grade infrastructure.
Right.
So if a contractor wanted to come and another utility company undertake work, they would call in for a stakeout service.
Of course.
And it would be that BIA that would have to go and identify their infrastructure.
Would it be fair to characterize the types of utilities that are feeding, the devices that utilities are feeding are typically upgrades done by a BIA that were done voluntarily, albeit for the benefit of their area? So we're not talking about city infrastructure like traffic lights. We're talking about upgrades within the BIA that was done through a program with the city.
That is correct. These are improvements that
Right.
the BIA has undertaken.
And to the best of your knowledge, improvements are generally paid for on a cost share proportion by the BIA.
Through you, Madam Speaker, that is correct.
And is it fair to say that I guess where the rubber meets the road with this report is that there wasn't foresight when, for a variety of reasons, when the infrastructure was installed to think about this life cycle cost later on? And so we're addressing that by agreeing to continue to cost share. We could agree to not cost share anything and the BIAs would still be on the hook.
That is correct.
So in fact, the city is moving the yardstick very far forward by providing 50% of the cost. I would almost characterize that as very generous because we don't actually have a responsibility to do so, but we want to make sure that BIAs are successful.
And I believe, as indicated through Mr. Williams, in the spirit of what has been a past practice, is how this came about.
Yes, I'd also direct Council's attention to the confidential attachment on this topic as well.
Yeah, and would it also be fair to characterize that not only is the city paying for this, but we're going to be partnering in many ways to drive down these costs because we've got access to experience and infrastructure and services that BIAs as a dispersed group of entities may not have at an economy of scale like we do.
That is correct. By the city taking this service on and incorporating it into an existing contract, it would be far cheaper for us to take it and merge it with what we're already doing.
So we're doing a lot for BIAs who right now are taking the brunt of very expensive work and a very expensive cost to deliver the service.
I would say that's correct. We are lifting a burden off of them.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Karygiannis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Through you to staff, how many cities have BIAs?
Most Ontario cities.
Other cities, what is the protocol that they're following in such a situation?
So it can vary across the cities, but in many cities, the city takes it on.
Sorry, in many cities? Okay, so in many cities, how many cities would that be that they take it on? Would it be 80%, 90%, 95%?
Probably most of them.
Okay, so we want to be the exception that we say to our BIAs that we want you to pay 50-50. Would I be correct?
Well, yes, but we have 83 active BIAs right now, so we're a very different situation than all the other cities.
But we're one of the biggest cities and we should lead by example, correct?
We are leading by example by cost sharing on the same basis.
Okay, but the other cities are paying 100%, and we're asking our BIAs to pay 50%.
Yes, but I don't think we're in the same situation.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell, questions?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just a really quick question. It says we're paying to pay 50% of the costs. What will those costs be?
So we don't know exactly. We think it's going to be a range. The city's share between 160 and 320,000 for 50%.
Oh, that's it. This is like under $1 million. Okay. Just curious. When you started saying 150, I thought, wow, that's not the big number I'm thinking it is. Okay.
No, but a lot of this depends upon how easy the locates are to do in conjunction with their existing contracts rather than as separate, which is our experience with BIAs so far. We're hopeful the cost would actually be less.
So this cost sharing is a new thing that the city's undertaking?
No, we cost share on all the capital improvements for BIAs right now.
Oh, okay. All right. So
on 50-50 basis, by and large.
So this is nothing new?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Wong-Tam.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Speaker, sorry, my apologies. To staff, the new legislation passed by the province is now basically downloading this service onto the city, and they've created a system on one call, and this is about how to find locates on the street and how to make sure that there is some entity that's going to be responsive to them when you're coordinating all these locates. That's in a nutshell what this is, the new legislation.
Yes, through you, Madam Speaker. In essence, anyone who owns an infrastructure is now required to be an active member of On One Call, which does require a 24-hour operation, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, where if a request is put forward for a locate, they must provide it.
Now, is there any way that BIAs could take on that responsibility?
It's already proven to be challenging.
Yeah, maybe I could answer that. It has been that case for the last number of years, and BIAs, especially the smaller ones, have found it administratively very challenging. They don't know contractors that have on call. They do it on a one-off basis. We instruct them to get multiple bids sometimes, so it has been difficult for them to manage the process.
So, I mean, so how is it possible? I mean, and I recognize that you're responding to something that's happened at the province, but is there any entity that does have the capacity to respond to the request for locates on the public right of way?
So right now there's a series of contractors, and the city puts out a tender and has 2 on call, and staff from Transportation Division can answer the specifics on that. And the city has far more infrastructure under the sidewalks and roads, and one of the main ones is Mr. Geronimo, and he can address this question.
Through you, Madam Speaker. In fact, the City of Toronto has an employee who is on the board of One Call, representing large municipalities, and that's a director in Toronto Water. So we get an opportunity to provide our input onto the administration of the program. We've been involved with the joint contract that we brought forward several years ago with Toronto Hydro and Enbridge Gas, teamed up with Toronto Water, and we've got transportation on board as well. So when we tender for pricing on locate utility services, we're actually getting a good price because it's bundled amongst the large utilities. So that's how we're handling those utilities in the public right-of-way. The issue here that was slightly different was a lot of the infrastructures that's owned by the BIAs or the city, but involves BIAs, is within the road right-of-way, but typically on a sidewalk and out of the roadway. And the key thing is you need to have your records up to date and current. And those were some of the challenges that the BIAs had, is finding those old records, because you have to be sure that when you do a locate, you know you have that utility in that trench.
Okay, last question, Councillor Wong-Tam.
Thank you. So with respect to cost sharing with these BIAs, can you tell us what is the proportion of BIA assets that are sitting under below grade in proportion to how much the city owns below grade, and how do you justify the 50% recovery if the city does have and own far more assets than any BIA below grade.
We're talking about dividing the cost only the locates of the BIA-related assets. None of the other costs are associated here. So when they locate for water or transportation or any other the group, that's a separate charge for that. And as Mr. Geronimo said,
just to elaborate how the contracts work, there is a fee charged by the locate service provider on a per request basis. So if it's just locating Toronto Water infrastructure with Toronto Hydro, there's a specific unit rate charged back to us for that service. But because we bundled it, we were able to drive the unit rate down on each request. So the request will be specific to BIAs, and if it's bundled to do all of the services, we'll all get a lower price if you are locating more than one utility at a time.
Okay,
so
thank you.
It's actually economical.
Thank you. We have less than an hour to finish these items. Councillor Fletcher?
Very quickly, the staff reported what was coming to council is for council to pay, for the BIA to pay 50% and the city to pay 50%. Is that right?
correct.
And the motion that Councillor Karygiannis says, well, let's just have the city pay the whole shebang. 100.
Correct.
And are these parallel proceeds, or is this one locate process and the BIA would be paying for its part?
Depends on the specifics of the locate request as to whether it's a bundled one or a separate one.
And there is the commercial rebate that we passed this year, did we not? For vacant places, vacant commercial locations?
Well, it's been in place until the end of this year, yes.
But it will also mean that there'll be a significant amount of rebate coming back for many of those business strips where there are BIAs. Empty stores have been a scourge in many of the BIAs. Is that right?
It was spread across the Toronto. I couldn't estimate what percentage would be in BIs and what percentage would be outside
but
BIs.
But there certainly would be some.
But the vast majority of the VUR is paid for shopping centers and office commercial.
So shopping, but there are, and Danforth, lots and lots of.
Right, but it's a pretty small part compared to the total.
I see. Thank you.
Councillor Karygiannis to speak.
Speaker, I do have a motion if it can be put up.
And we all have a copy of it. You've circulated it.
Madam Speaker, in a former life, two former lives, I was part of BIA, and which is now Greetown. I was also president of Tabia. And BIA struggle. And a lot of times they are there in order to beautify our city. They work hard, and at the end of the day, probably the rents will go up because of the beautification that they do, and their people end up moving from those areas and they have to go somewhere else and start all over again. So to burden the BIAs and the work that they do, and a lot of it is volunteer, I would say to people in this chamber that we should look at 100%. If the BIA was to go defunct, then we'll have to carry that cost in order to do it. We're looking for pittance in our budget, and for us to turn around and hit our BIAs with this extra cost is something that is not coherent to what we're doing. We got businesses in the downtown core, and because of their taxes that are going up, we're looking to roll back. And for us to say that, you know what, we're going to roll it back in one area and hit the other BIAs in other areas, I don't think that's consistent throughout the city. So in the spirit of Christmas, I would say to folks, let's, let's do this, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Fletcher to speak.
Oh, just that Councillor Karygiannis is moving a motion that's very close to the one that I was moving last time, where we would increase the staff. The report coming to council says that the city will undertake 50% of the cost of the locates for the BIAs. And at that point, I had had a motion that said we should up that by another 50%, which is essentially the 100%. And that by the time we've done all the administration and all out to this BIA and that BIA and back and forth with whomever's doing that in the city, it's not going to be as efficient as we would think. Knowing already how the locates have worked, how difficult that has been, that the billing, the non-billing, who's paid, who hasn't paid, and I do believe, even though it might not be a significant amount, of real estate that would be covered by the rebate, I think that the small amount that would be covered here would be a BIA-sponsored portion. So I know on Danforth, on Queen, on Gerrard, I have a lot of empty stores in the commercial strip, and they've not been paying taxes. They've been simply staying empty and getting their rebate and getting their write-off. So I think that it's fair that we would dedicate some of that to ensuring that we don't have a kind of administrative schmozzle once this gets instituted. So I'd be supporting Councillor Karygiannis.
Thank you. Councillor Wong-Tam, quickly.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I really do urge all members of Council to support Councillor Karygiannis's motion, and I'll tell you why. No other municipality in Ontario has downloaded this service and this cost to any of their BIAs. Every single one of them has just assumed that the city owns all the infrastructure below grade. Your BIAs, if you have one, and 29 wards do, your BIAs are responsible for branding and marketing and flower baskets and lights and perhaps some street benches and furnitures, but I doubt that very many of them actually are installing the heavy-duty equipment that is going to be required underground for all the locates. So I really don't think that it would be fair in any way to pass on any of this cost to the BIAs, and we know that there's a wide range of them with respect to the size, the capacity, their financial ability, and not to mention their skill set to be able to even manage this very bureaucratic and very difficult process. 15 wards don't have BIAs, and I'd love you to all have them. But because you don't have them, your communities are not going to be subject to those charges. And that is just simply not fair. I would tell you right now that the BIAs do a lot of good work for our communities. They actually do far more than we could ever do just because they take carriage of local issues. They are economic drivers in their neighborhood. And by us even considering that this would be a fair and reasonable approach, we would be the very first city in Ontario to now tell our BIAs, you're going to pay for this locate that you had nothing to be responsible for. The infrastructure is going to be assumed, as the report states, by the city, so we are going to assume the ownership of all the infrastructure below grade, which is mostly the cities anyways. I don't really know any BIA who would actually think that anything below grade actually belongs to them, whether it's telecoms, fiber optic lines, or if it's gas lines, or it's water lines, hydro lines. Not a single BIA has ever said, I need to make sure that those infrastructure capacities below grade are upgraded. All they care about is what happens at the street level, the human experience, the retail environment, how to get more people into their shops, more diners into their restaurants. That's what they care about. Let them focus on their core business. Do not punish them for being organized in their community. It is simply not fair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Robinson to speak.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'm putting up, if the clerks could put up the staff recommendations, I'm moving those, as we did at Public Works and Infrastructure Committee. These are really well placed recommendations by staff in that they have done a lot of legwork on these. This is a complicated issue because, again, it's in my mind, I would describe this as downloading once again from the province. Of course, we all cherish our BIAs and work closely with them. There's no question about that. But what we have done through a lot of consultation and legwork on staff's behalf is come up with a model that reflects what we're doing consistently across the board in economic development and transportation. So it's a cost-sharing approach. And what you see in these motions is that we will be using our city contractors for the locates. So there lies the rub in that will reduce costs just generally for everybody. We're going to be doing the facilitation. We're going to be able to access a much better price overall for both the city, from the city's perspective, as well as the BIAs. So all of that right there is a huge win for the BIAs. And then we've reached a compromise, and we're going to be providing partial funding. So this is a staff recommendation. I urge you not to vote for Councillor Karygiannis's motion, because a lot of consultation and work went into this. It's consistent with our policies, our procedures, are the models that we're using at City Hall, particularly in economic development. And this is a great compromise and a good outcome. So please support staff recommendations that are before you and not Councillor Karygiannis's motion.
Councillor Thompson to speak. Oh, sorry.
No worries. Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I rise in support of Councillor Karygiannis's motion. As the Chair of Economic Development, the recognition with respect to what BIAs are all about for the city, they're an entity that is designed to help us. In fact, at one point, we used to take care of Main Street. We no longer do that for the most part in areas where there are BIAs. The BIAs, it's their responsibility. They have worked together to beautify the area, to attract business and so on. This is an additional element of cost that's associated with more pressure on the BIAs. They're already saying that they don't have enough resources already, and yet we are asking them to be burdened with this additional amount and so on. And I would ask members to simply recognize the benefits of the BIA. This is an infrastructure responsibility of the cities, and I understand that the city can ask and seek to have the BIA share a portion of the cost and so on, but they can't actually afford it. And in areas, as Councillor Wong Tam has pointed out, in areas where there are no BIAs, it's the city's responsibility. So it's about fairness, it's about equitability, and in fact, if we actually now download on those who are BIAs, then I think that it demonstrates a level of unfairness of the city, and I don't think that that's the road we want to go down.
Okay, thank you. So if we can put the motions on the screen, please. We're ready to vote.
It's probably not allowed under the rules. No, we got a minute and a half.
Councillor Karygiannis, motion, recorded vote.
The amendment carries 26 to 10.
Okay, that's the item, right? Okay, item is amended. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Shiner, you're standing.
I am, Madam Speaker. I had come to you and I would ask if we could vary the procedure to deal quickly with item PG 24.10, Midtown and Focus Proposals Reports. 3 members of council represent the area. 2 of them wanted to make very brief comments and release it because it was important to them. They're not even going to. So if Councillor Robinson then can have the floor and release it, I'm even happier.
Okay, so Councillor Robinson, would you just like to release it?
That's correct. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay. On page 5, PG 24.10, all in favor? Carried. Okay, on page 3, PW 24.4, improving accountability to the utility cut process. Councillor Wong Tam, do we want to maybe try to rush this so we can get stuff finished, or is this going to be a long item?
Madam Speaker, if I can speak from here. Sure. Madam Speaker, I don't intend this to be a long item. I'm hoping that the motion I would move is the same one that's been
No, do you have questions to staff?
Oh, I don't, sorry.
Anybody have questions to staff? No, okay, Councillor Wong Tam.
Thank you very much. I'd like to have the clerks place the motion onto the screen. And members, this is a motion that has been circulated at the last council meeting for 3 days. Hopefully you've now had a chance to read it. It's now been before you for about 5 full days. Essentially, there are some minor amendments that I would like to make to the universal equipment placement guidelines. A large number of this is really talking about notification when appropriate and wherever possible. It's also about making sure that we can have these utility companies provide us with design options so that we're not being forced upon, that you get to sort of see how they drew their conclusion. And we can go to the next page. Thank you.
And you have another one,
yeah,
don't
there's
you?
a
Have
second
two
motion.
motions.
The second motion is to request the Ontario Energy Board and the Canadian Radio, Television Communications Commission to review and update their safety standards for above and below utility infrastructure plants and to ensure that it actually complies with AODA requirements, age-friendly design, mitigate any risk to public safety, put a crime prevention through environmental design lens on all of this work. And if I can just put a few items on the screen. Can I get that? Great, thank you. So this is an image of utility pipes popping out of the sidewalk, and you'll see that there's bollards that have been placed around to protect it. That's on Avenue Road, just north of Bloor. Here's another piece of infrastructure that literally emerged out of the ground. It's on Bathurst, south of St. Clair, and again, these utility companies have placed them in the public right-of-way. It's rather unsightly, and if I can just say that it doesn't even look like there's much thought to it. This is a recent conflict that's emerged in J. McPherson Park in the Upper Yorkville community. Just so you know, that box is sitting in a park. And it wasn't there last winter. Or sorry, it wasn't there 2 winters ago. One day we woke up before we knew it. It actually just literally rose from the ground. That used to be a buried station, and somehow it's made its way above ground. This is a beautiful heritage church, St. George United Church. And you can see that they've done exactly the same thing in front of that church. Here's a business that we have at Yonge and Bloor. They decided that they were going to make it better and remove the bollards, but that's now sitting in the public right-of-way right on the sidewalk. And here's another example in front of Josephson Optician, which is also at Bay and Bloor. So, Madam Speaker, my motion is to try to clean up some of the language in the utility, the universal equipment guidelines. We want to make sure that the Ontario Energy Board, as well as a telecoms company, can do a better job of communicating with us before they come along and raise these boxes. That's all it is about.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you. We have a question, Councillor Holliday. Clarification of the motion.
Yes, Madam Speaker. I just wondered if through you to the councillor, if there could be some explanation as to the rationale of the 1.2 meters for large infrastructure. I don't know where it came from, how it's operational. If you can enlighten me a bit on that.
Yes, certainly, Madam Speaker. These numbers were largely derived from a working group that we had set up with different stakeholders as well as BIAs. I guess they had done some technical reviews on their own, and I would say that this was not an insignificant group. There are a number of them that are lawyers as well as different type of communicators. They had arrived at it was important for us to put forward a series of recommendations. These recommendations went before staff, and it was actually much broader what they wanted us to change. And it was by way of negotiating with staff that we reduce an even greater number of recommendations because staff said that we probably got a little bit too deep in the weeds, and they wanted us to sort of come back to surface. And so the recommendations before you, motion A, as well as motion B, were both vetted by staff.
So staff, you just mentioned staff saw these. They were presented to staff from the working group.
It was a larger package that was presented to staff.
I got it,
yeah.
But they chose not to include it in their, staff chose not to include it in the final report.
No, the staff, if I can just clarify, the staff were not going to amend their guidelines, but the larger list of recommendations that we had, we then worked with staff to sort of bring them down to what was agreeable, and that's what's before you now.
Right, so these were part of the working group that happened between PWIC and this meeting, I remember one of the outcomes of the PWIC meeting was to ask staff to go back and do further consultation, because there was a group that did a lot of work. Is that where these were floated?
These were floated at that meeting, and and the staff were given several pages of information to review from the community organizations and advocacy.
Do you feel staff reviewed that information?
Well, staff did provide me with comments, and the original amendment that I had, which you now see as motion A, was actually much larger, much longer, far more robust, but we scaled it back based on some negotiations with staff.
But to be really crystal clear, I just want to make sure everybody here understands this. So this was presented to staff, and staff elected not to include it in the amendments in the report. And so you're moving it now because you feel strongly about it?
Well, no, they were never going to include everything into the report. They were trying to keep it. They were trying to keep the report as general as possible. That's why it's called guidelines. What the community wanted to do was just to be a bit more specific. And I would say we probably had 3 times the recommendations on motion A. 2/3 of it we took away because staff felt very strongly that we should not move it. So what's before you now is what staff said that they could live with.
That was your last question. Councillor Shiner.
So, Councillor Wong-Tam, the transformers that you showed us, were they installed by Toronto Hydro or another utility?
If I can get the microphone, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, these transformers and substations and stations, they were installed by a wide range of utility companies, everything from telecoms to hydro to gas.
And I'm specifically talking about the large transformers. There's 2 or 3 of them, one in front of the church, the transformers. The gas company doesn't put in transformers. The transformers that you showed us in the 3 pictures, were they installed by Toronto Hydro, or were they installed in a location identified through the planning process by urban design?
So they're replacement stations that were buried below grade. What had happened was that there was a change in requirement around labor issues and around operations and management. And so the change around the labor issues and labor laws said that you can no longer bury these stations, that they had to be brought above grade. The challenge that we have is that when they did so, there wasn't broader communication or clarity with the local community.
So my question is, though, were those new installations Toronto Hydros?
The new installation is Toronto Hydro.
So it's our own agency that has done some of this work that we really have to try to work with. And do you know what efforts the city has had to work with Toronto Hydro on that?
Well, we're now working with them to relocate the one at J. McPherson Park, just by way of example.
Sorry, my question is more general. Do you know if there are general policies where our transportation division, who has the right-of-ways, is working with Toronto Hydro on policies that would not allow this to happen?
Yes, so these conversations are underway now with all the utility companies, not just exclusive to one. I think that staff have now flagged that these grievances that appear on the public right-of-way are not acceptable, and they have actually now been very proactively going back to those companies to let them know what's happened and the discontentment in the local community. Just one.
No, so it's my question, please.
Hopefully I've answered.
A short answer could have been, in due respect, yes or no. But the last part of it, the recommendations that you have here, you said they've been vetted by staff. Is that correct?
Correct.
Have they been vetted by the chair of the committee, and why weren't they brought to the committee?
Chair of the committee. We were actually working back with staff. That was a recommendation from PWIC that we were at PWIC. We were going to staff, and staff were going to provide with us some updates.
Okay, that was your last question.
But answer to my question. My question was, why weren't they back at the committee, and were they vetted with the committee? And that wasn't answered.
So because the committee directed...
Councillor Wong-Tam, quickly, please, because you're over 3 minutes.
The committee had directed staff to respond directly to council, and at that point in time, it was a time-urgent matter that was supposed to be dealt with at the last city council meeting.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Robinson.
This working group wasn't a formal working group. It was people that came to PWIC that had concerns about utility boxes, right? Deputants?
Microphone again. It started off not as a formal working group, but by way of the PWIC motion that Councillor Holladay had moved, we were then directed to go and work with staff.
Yeah, so it wasn't a pre-selected group from across the city. It was just a number of individuals. I remember some of them. I think Fontra might have been around the table. And they were concerned about this, and so we wanted to move it forward to council, and so we asked that they make sure, that staff make sure that they met with them between PWIC and council, correct?
That's correct, and also the group also included the Bloor-Yorkville BIA.
Right, but just to be clear, it wasn't an official working group or of council. It was just a group that was to meet in between the two. And I guess my other question is just, I don't have your motion in front of me, but the number, the meters, 1.2, I'm not sure where that's come from, never heard it before or seen it. Might be a good idea, but it certainly wasn't deliberated or debated by staff or committee. So where did that height come from?
The height was largely came from some recommendations from the group who did some research around AODA requirements on how tall a box should be. With respect to the actual measurement, it actually came specifically out of those discussions, largely guided by whether or not this would be safe, would it cause obstructions to someone in a motor vehicle, can you see around it, so they just determined that it would be 1.2.
Was there any utility organizations or companies around the table as part of this discussion? Was any utilities included?
Not this particular table, but we have been at the table with Enbridge Gas, which had built the substation. Sorry, the new.
Were they a part of the working group, though? Was my question.
No, but they have been.
So they don't know about this motion.
Well, not quite, because they have certainly been at another table that I've been working with staff upon with respect to relocating the substation at J. McPherson Park. We'll be probably relocating that to the cost of $1.2 million. $900,000 will come from our local community to move that box out of the front of the park.
But my question was, was there any utility part of the working group? Because it was just an informal group that we identified as deputants from PWIC.
The motion from Councillor Holladay did not specify utility companies.
So, I mean, could we end up in court over this? Because I don't know where this height has come from. It's not been vetted through staff or a report or through committee.
Well, Councillor, if you like, you can strike out that height, because what we really want to get to at the core of the matter is that we want to make sure there's adequate notice that the city is working with the utilities.
Your time's up. God, we're just running out of time here. Councillor Burnside, I think we might have to hold the item down or defer it to the next meeting.
I had just one quick question.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, if we want to just defer it, that's fine.
I think we should defer it.
Okay.
Okay, Councillor Robinson to speak. Want to defer it?
I would like to refer this.
Okay, what's your motion, Councillor Robinson?
Councillor Davis? I think this is we're getting into very unknown territory here, and it's a bit complicated. I don't know if I disagree necessarily with the councillor, but I think we need to go through the process. I also have a motion I'd like to put forward on behalf of staff, because as you may or may not recall, at the last meeting, this was deferred to this meeting, but there was a supplementary report before us and still is, and I'd like to move that we approve the incorporation of these guidelines. So this is a technical report from staff, motion from staff. But at the same time, I think council would be wise, just given the deliberations, that we simply either defer this or refer it back to the General Manager of Transportation Services.
Okay, so, Councillor Robinson, you can only do one.
Well,
okay, so
what do people think? Go for a referral? So I will move to refer this item back to the General Manager or to the General Manager of Transportation Services for further review and assessment.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wong Tam, clarification?
Actually, no, Madam Speaker, just to speak on the referral. Like my understanding from staff when we were working with them throughout the summer and leading up to the outcome of the report is that it was rather timely, which is why the report was placed before us in November. They were hoping that we would have it adopted so they can bring it back to the table where they were working with the utility companies. They're all waiting for these instructions, so it's not like we actually have an abundance of time anymore, Madam Speaker, which is why I would ask that we don't refer this back to staff or defer this.
Thank you. On the referral, recorded vote. Recorded vote to refer. We're in the middle of a vote, Councillor Shiner. Yes, Councillor Shiner.
My buttons aren't working properly. I'm trying to record.
Yeah, he has this vote. He has your vote.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The motion to refer does not, or carries 19 to 12.
Okay, thank you. All right, so whose motion is that? Okay, Councillor Wong Tam, you have a motion to introduce?
No, it's okay. Thank you very much, Anna. It's fine. If I can just have the clerks put the item on the screen. Yes, I would like to reopen an item. This item is actually in Ward 28, and Councillor Troisi was not with us at the time of the vote, and so we now need to reopen it. And I was there.
Okay, on favor? Carried. Deputy Mayor Minnan-Wong, do you want to move your member's motion that you introduced? Okay, on favor? That's MM 3545. Councillor Fillion, would you like to move MM 3546? Okay. Carried. Yeah, I took a vote. It was carried. I did. I went 5845 and 5846. Oh. Okay. Okay, who wants to reopen it? Councillor de Bearmaker wants to open MM 3546. On favor? It's the 58 Yonge Street. On favor? Carried. All right, members, we have time just for one more item. Councillor Shiner?
Did you even vote on 5800 Yonge Street?
Yes.
I thought we were voting and you called out Councillor Menawong.
Yes, I also said that one. That's why we had to reopen it.
So could I ask you, in your zest, to allow us to know what's actually happening here? Because I never heard an for, and I definitely never heard an opposed called out on that item. And I'd like the opportunity, when they come up, to vote on these items, truly.
Okay, Councillor Shiner, we did reopen it.
But I didn't know we closed it.
Okay, well taken. If members of council could just please listen, because we only have 10 minutes left. So what is it that you want to deal with? We only have time for one more item. Just hold on. Pardon, Councillor de Beermaker?
Order paper is a striking committee.
Yes.
We should follow the order paper.
What about quick releases?
No, and then quick releases before we go.
Councillor Karygiannis?
Madam Speaker, I'd like to release on page 7, TE 28.61, road alteration, O'Connor Drive and Woodbine Avenue.
Okay, on page 7, TE 2861? Okay, the thing is there's so much noise that people can't hear what I'm saying, and that's why you don't know that I've asked for a vote. All in favor? Carried. Striking Committee, ST 1411, page 3. Council member appointment to the TRCA. All right, Councillor Davis?
I'd like to release it, and I believe that Councillor Lee is going to speak to it.
Councillor Lee?
Yes. My motion is that City Council appoint Councillor Janet Davis to the Toronto and Region Conservation Authority Regional Watershed Alliance for a term of office ending December 31st, 2019, or until a successor is appointed.
Okay, do we have any questions or speakers? Okay, the names I'm seeing up here, are they from the last, for the last vote?
Oh, I don't want to.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Menawong?
Staff there?
Nobody had questions to staff, so we went directly to speakers. Deputy Mayor Menawong.
Yes, at City Council appoint Councillor Glenn de Beermaker to the Toronto Regional Conservation Authority Watershed Alliance for a term of office ending December 31st, 2019, and until a successor is appointed. Everybody knows Councillor de Beermaker's bona fides on the environment, and he has lots of experience in the Toronto Regional Conservation Authority, so I think he should continue his good work on this particular body.
Okay. Okay, Councillor Carroll, please. No, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, Councillor. Okay, please, I would really appreciate members of council would not talk when we're trying to figure out where we are on the agenda. Please, Councillor Cressy, you have a question?
Sorry, just it's my clarification. I thought striking had recommended Councillor Carmichael Grad.
Yeah, Madam Chair, the committee did. Pardon me? Oh, pardon me. It went without recommendation. It was a tie vote.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I needed that clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any further speakers? Councillor de Beermaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would be honored to serve on the Regional Watershed Alliance. As many of members of this committee, council know, I've been a member of the Conservation Authority for 14 years, elected to its executive committee for the last 10 years. I'm a co-chair of the Municipal Leaders for the Greenbelt, along with Mayor Burton of Oakville, who we've both worked together before he was elected as mayor on the Trafalgar Watershed, along with Steve Marish out in the East End, Mayor Frank Scarpitti up in Markham, Mayor David Barrow over in Richmond Hill, Mayor Pellegrini in King Township. So I'd be very honored to work on this. Thank you.
Councillor Carroll to speak.
Well, Madam Speaker, Councillor de Beermaker just made my point. 10 years out of 14. And one councillor from the mouth of the Don, which is so key to everything that is about to come, out of 14 years is asking for a few months. Those are my comments.
Councillor Cressy.
Just very, very briefly. I love Glenn. Glenn plays a number of leadership roles in this city and would make an excellent addition there. However, Councillor Davis in this term of council has not been put in positions of authority. And I understand people, we all have different relationships around here, but she is tenacious and constant and wants to contribute to the TRCA, and it strikes me that a move has just been placed here, not because we love Glenn, and we do, but to stop Janet, and I don't feel that is fair, and I will be supporting Councillor Davis.
Councillor Karygiannis.
Call the question, Madam Speaker.
Councillor Davis, you did speak. You were the first one that spoke because you held.
The question has been called.
Yeah.
No debate.
She held the item down, and I went to her. She got up first.
To Councillor Lee.
Well, the question's been called. Yeah.
14 years.
Just say no, Councillor Davis. Just say no.
Councillor Holland, please. Councillor Filling, Councillor Mihevik.
Councillor Wong-Tam, when you're seated, please.
The motion to call the question does not carry. The vote is 13 to 21.
Councillor Davis to speak.
Thank you, Speaker. I have not been on the TRCA for 14 years, but I've attempted to get on the TRCA 4 times this term and a previous term. I have been an active, I was the chair and an active member of the Wet Weather Flow Management Advisory Committee when we had one. I have followed what is happening in the Don in all of our watersheds. I was on the Don Regeneration Council until the TRCA cancelled it. And this is the replacement. This is the replacement of all of the stewardship groups. This is a citizen advisory committee with some political representation. And I don't understand why I pose such a threat that I cannot be on this committee. I have a great deal of interest. My ward, as well as many of the other wards that are adjacent to the Don watershed, constitute the majority of the land mass in the centre of the city. It currently has no representation on the TRCA right now. The largest watershed in all of our in the GTA. So I simply ask that you consider supporting me for this position. Thank you.
Okay, so we have which motion first? Oh, sorry, Councillor Kelly, his name wasn't there before.
Very briefly, Speaker, I really feel uncomfortable when someone in this chamber says that a vote for that person is really a vote against this other person. In my mind, and I hope in the minds of others, that there is, between these two candidates, terrific people, the one who has the broadest and the deepest experience in this field is Councillor de Beermaker, and that's my vote.
Okay, can we put the motions on the screen, please? Okay, Recorded vote.
The motion does not carry. The vote is 15 to 19.
Okay, the next motion. Recorded vote.
The motion carries 28 to 6.
Members of council, we're just going to deal with 2 items that need to be done urgent. No debate. On page 7, new business CC 35.8 and CC 35.9 for Councillor Wong Tam for 308, 314 Jarvis. So there's a confidential report. So can we just release it, Councillor Wong Tam?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I move that we amend the confidential instructions to staff as set out in confidential attachment to this motion, and these items are to be dealt with together. It's the same motion for both items.
Okay, so we'll deal with CC 35.8 first. On favor? Carried. As amended, on favor? Carried. CC 35.9. It's on the screen. On favor? Carried. Item is amended. On favor? Carried. So the next urgent one that needs to be done is MM 3547, Councillor Wong Tam for 25 Ontario and 280 King Street East. On the reopening, on favor? Carried. And on the item, on favor? Carried. That's the holding provision. Okay. Mayor Tory?
Well, I have a motion which I think they're going to put up on the screen, Madam Speaker, to defer consideration of the items, really forcing me to strain here, remaining on the agenda for the January 31st, February 1st and 2nd, 2018 council meeting, or to a special meeting to be called by the mayor, and the items you can see listed there. I don't think I need to repeat them for council members.
Okay. So we have a motion by the mayor. Councillor Fillion?
Yes, if you could please delete 35.46 from that. We have to deal with it today or it's gone.
Well, we don't have time, and there are councillors that have issues with it.
Well, one councillor has an issue with it.
No, but then Councillor Shiner as well.
Well,
So.
Well, it's pointless to.
Okay, so if you want to move a motion to delete that one from the list.
Yes, I would like to.
Okay. Any questions on that one? Councillor Shiner? Okay, he's moving to delete. Okay, we're not on the item. This is just to delete it from the list. So you can debate it. No, the item, Councillor Shiner. Councillor Shiner, the item.
Correct.
Yes.
Are we just removing it from the list?
Yes.
And then what happens to
And then we debate it.
But I have questions of staff.
Yes.
We won't be able to debate it.
Well.
Okay. So what happens to the item?
I don't know. I don't know.
But you're my vision and my guiding light.
But I've been trying to tell members of council all day to speed things up, not to speak 5 minutes, and here now we are in a situation where we don't have time.
Yeah, I would take the vote on the. We're not going to have time to debate.
Okay. Okay, the problem is that we don't have time to debate it, so there's no point of moving to delete it. Okay, on the mayor's motion, on favor, carried. Councillor Holliday.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Members, hold on. Members, before I ask for a motion to enact the general bills, may I have a motion regarding the consideration of submissions on zoning bylaw and official plan amendments? Councillor Holliday.
Speaker, the committee and council considered submissions in making a decision on zoning bylaw and official plan amendments.
On favor? Carried. Councillor Campbell. You have a motion to introduce certain bills.
Ma'am, I do. That leave be granted to introduce bills 1345 to 1377, 1379 to 1386, 1388 to 1461, and 1463 to 1474 inclusive.
Recorded.
Shall leave be granted to introduce these bills? Recorded vote.
Councillor Kelly, Councillor Karygiannis, Councillor Wong Tam, please. Councillor Layton.
Councillor Cressy, please.
The motion to introduce the bills carries unanimously, 36 in favor.
Shall these bills be passed and declared as a bylaw? Recorded vote.
Councillor DeGiorgio, please. Councillor Matlow, Councillor Davis, Councillor Kelly, please.
Councillor Robinson, please. Councillor Palacio, please.
Councillor Kelly on the bills, please.
The motion to enact the bills carries unanimously, 36 in favor.
Councillor Mihevc, you have a motion to introduce the confirming bill.
Yeah.
That City Council request the Oh, shush, wrong one.
What?
Pardon?
Your mic is on.
Shush, I said. Sorry, I don't have it, but I know the
Fuddle-duddle.
clerk has it.
Who's got it?
If you could put on the screen, that would be helpful. I think I might have already pitched it. I'm too eager to clean up, sorry. That leave be granted to introduce a bill to confirm to the point of introduction of this motion the proceedings of council of meeting 35 on December 5, 6, 7, and 8, 2017.
Shall leave be granted to introduce this bill, recorded vote?
Councillor DeGiorgio, please. Councillor McMahon, Councillor Wong-Tam, Councillor Layton, Councillor Lee, please.
Councillor Crawford, please.
The motion to introduce the confirming bill carries unanimously, 36 in favor.
Shall this bill be passed and declared as a bylaw, recorded vote?
Councillor Palacio, Councillor Fletcher, please. Councillor Cressy, thank you. Councillor Robinson, Councillor Crawford, and Councillor Troisi, please.
Councillor DeGiorgio, Councillor McMahon, Councillor Wong-Tam, Councillor Layton, Councillor Davis, please. Councillor Lee.
The motion to enact the confirming bill carries unanimously, 35 in favor.
Okay, thank you to the staff for 4 days of council. Thank you to members of council. Meeting is adjourned, and Merry Christmas.